everyone, and welcome to Roosevelt Field. I'm Jeff Brandon along with Walt Fry, and this is Norristown Eagle football, homecoming day, 1997. Today the Eagles take on the Indians of Council Rock in another Suburban One-League National Conference clash. The Eagles entering this contest overall 2-5 on the season, 2-4 in league play. The Indians with a winning record in league play enter this game 4-3 overall, 4-2 league play. But Norristown coming off a big win last week, Walt, against Central Bucks East, and certainly a win that was much needed by this Eagle team as they face the remainder of this season.
Absolutely, Jeff. They needed to stop the bleeding for a while. They were playing so hard and just continued to lose close games. That game, they went out and came back against a good Central Bucks East team. We're down 10-0 very quickly in that game and wound up winning it 21-10. So this is definitely a team that should have confidence and be fueled on a little bit by this homecoming crowd.
And last week, the Indians, Walt, crushing Abington 35-0. Council Rock coming in with a good squad. Their hallmark, the running game, just like Norristown. We expect to see a lot out of junior tailback Alex Wade.
Absolutely. Alex Wade is having a tremendous year for them, over 1,000 yards already and averaging 7.7 a carry. I'm a numbers guy, so I'm going to give you some numbers. That Council Rock offensive line averaging 248 pounds. Throw in Alex Wade at 225, running behind him. That's a lot of bulk coming right at Norristown.
And on this day today, Walt, it turned into a perfect fall afternoon. We had some rain earlier today, but the sun is shining. Weather conditions should be excellent for the contest. And, of course, on the other side of the ball for the Eagles on offense, Walt, the running game keys around sophomore running back Troy Swittenberg.
And Troy Swittenberg has been just as amazing as Alex Wade has this year. Troy Swittenberg continues to rack up huge yardage. Last week, 28 carries, 183 yards for a TD against the Patriots. So Troy Swittenberg just continuing to roll this year with 9 touchdowns.
Well, the Eagles have struggled a little bit this year through the air. Junior quarterback Chris Blake perhaps finding his way a little bit this season. I'm sure Coach Grove looking for him to really blossom next year. But the Eagle passing game has been used, I think, to some good measure, but perhaps not as much as it could have been.
Well, they have used it much more frequently. They've thrown 92 times this year with Chris Blake. That's a lot for a Norristown team, especially a Norristown team that has another good running game with Troy Swittenberg and Garvin Stewart. But they've put themselves in some situations where they've been third and long and they've been forced to throw. And they certainly have the confidence to do that this year with Chris Blake and some of his great receivers. But what they need to do is mix it in a little bit more and actually surprise some teams with the pass. That'll free some things up for Troy Swittenberg and make Chris Blake that much more successful and that much more confident.
And the Eagles win the toss here, elect to receive. They will be defending the end zone to the right of your screen, wearing their home blue uniforms today. Of course, the Council Rock Indians will be in white, will be to the left of your screen, and they will be kicking off. And the kickoff is always a threat for Norristown. With Swittenberg and Stewart back deep, we've seen a lot of different gyrations by various teams this year to avoid kicking that ball deep to either of those fellows.
Right, and a couple weeks ago, the Chamonix Redskins, whether by choice or just by the leg of their kicker, kicked it short. We had a couple up men field a couple balls, and Norristown didn't get too far. So we'll see if Council Rock has learned from that experience.
And Walt, this year we still have several home games remaining on the schedule. It's been an unusual year for home football games. Eagles with 7 scheduled this season.
And what's exciting is that one of those games in a couple of weeks is against North Penn, and that's always, with North Penn being fairly close geographically and starting to turn into a little bit of a rivalry. Always a good game, always a close one.
Folks, we want to remind you that, of course, with today being a homecoming day for the Eagles, at halftime we'll have the coverage for you on the floats and the homecoming court and all of those wonderful things that come along with homecoming day. So please stay tuned for those items. We're about ready to play here, and back deep for the Eagles, as expected, number 1, Troy Swittenberg, number 10, Garvin Stewart. Doing the kicking chores for the Indians. Looks like it's number 6, Mike Cahan. Got 3 different kickers. Kickoff specialist, a punter, and an extra point guy.
We'll see if he's a kickoff specialist, if he can boom one down there around Swittenberg. Council Rock's a big soccer area, so I'm sure they got a lot of guys fighting for that kicking job. This guy looks new, Jeff. He's having the official explain some kicking rules to him, looks like. Now, if it goes out of bounds, this happens. If you're in the end zone, you're back to the 20.
And the Indians look about ready now. Senior kicker Mike Cahan looks for the officials to give him the go-ahead. And we're underway here at Roosevelt Field. It's a low kick taken down the middle by Darrell Johnson at the 17-yard line. Johnson up the middle, breaks several tackles, takes it up over the 35, down at about the 37-yard line. So the Eagles will start with solid field position here on this first offensive possession. Let's give you those offensive starters very quickly, folks. At quarterback, number 13, Chris Blake. The backfield, Swittenberg and Stewart. Across the line, we expect to see Greg DeLucia, Doug White, Brian Webster, Yaboa Cabold, and James Burrell with Josiah Purry at tight end. We have Paul Pronsati and Jim Zitzer, the wideouts. 1st and 10 for Norristown. Swittenberg looks to cut it up inside, gets about 2 yards on the carry. Let's give you the starters here for the Council Rock Indians. We'll start with the fellow who made that tackle, linebacker John Carney, joined at the linebacking core by Andrew Wirtz and Richie Bettison. The corners, Jackie Smith and Corey Jones. At safety, Chris Mahoney and Alex Wade. And across the line, we have Rob Keller, Ed Johnson, Tony Malone, and Eric Warg. So that sets the scene for you here early on. The Eagles with 2nd and 8 from just inside their own 40. The pitch goes to Stewart. Swittenberg with a key block. Stewart, a good job. Gets outside, close to a first down, and I believe he's got it. And give some credit to Troy Swittenberg, who's used to carrying the ball. Did a great job sealing off that block for Garvin Stewart.
That's a great way for the Eagles to start, to mix it up a little bit. You come out with Swittenberg and Stewart. Everybody's looking for Stewart to get the ball, and they go to Swittenberg. But it's so valuable to have a guy like Troy Swittenberg who will get in there and block for another good runner like Garvin Stewart. That makes the Eagle offense that much more complex and keeps opponents on their toes.
So we have a timeout on the field from the officials to measure for this first down. Depends on the spot. It certainly looked like from our vantage point that Stewart had it, and indeed he does. First down, Norristown. So the Eagles convert quickly their first 2 offensive plays, and they will be at their own 47-yard line here. Well, we don't do too many day games here at Roosevelt Field, and it's going to be tough to see that clock today. I think we're down to about 11 minutes. That's the early guess will be good for me
when
today.
When it gets to 0, we'll tell you, folks.
Okay. Zitzer comes in motion. They follow him with Swittenberg. He looks to cut it outside, turns the corner, picks up good yardage. A little bit of a late hit there as he was out of bounds. Troy Swittenberg, though, picked up about 5 yards on the carry.
And Council Rock that time tried to string him out. Chris Mahoney, the safety, running with Troy Swittenberg, but Swittenberg just continues to dip that shoulder inside just to keep the safety honest, and got 5 yards out of what really looked like he was going to be strung out for nothing.
This time, Pronsati and Zitzer stay to the right side. Stewart and Swittenberg are split. Swittenberg up the middle behind Stewart. He's hit at the line of scrimmage and really knocked for a loss. Nice job that time by Rob Keller, 91.
And Alex Wade, that safety, who's also their star running back, delivered the big hit on Troy Swittenberg as he tried to get through that hole. Looked like somebody missed a block there. Nobody even got a chip on Alex Wade, and Alex Wade had a clean shot on Troy Swittenberg.
Brings up 3rd and 2 for the Eagles from about the 46-yard line. They're into Council Rock territory early on here. Blake directs the backfield. The quick count goes to Stewart behind Swittenberg. Stewart cuts it up, and he's going to be short. Garvin Stewart that time tried to cut it up the middle, but he was wrapped up nicely. In on the tackle, number 44, Eric Ward from his defensive end position.
And that time, Norristown tried to play Jim Zitzer as an H-back, and that's the back who's going to be set right behind the tackle. a little bit offset from that line of scrimmage, and that time Zitzer looking for somebody to block, never found anybody. As Stewart tried to cut it up the middle, there were Council Rock defenders just waiting for him.
It's going to bring up 4th and 3, and the Eagles will punt. Senior Albie Morano on to do the punting chores. The lone setback is number 27, Joe Coleman. Coleman takes it at about his own 11-yard line, and Darrell Johnson with a great open field tackle on the downfield coverage.
Well, that's a linebacker for you. That's a good, solid tackle. Darrell Johnson all over Joe Coleman, elected to just go up high and drag Coleman down. Great job by Johnson to get free, get down on the kickoff coverage. Excuse me, the punt coverage.
One of those.
It's off Morano's foot either way.
That's right. Council Rock with their first offensive possession. They'll start at about their own 13-yard line. They go to Wade, and he is knocked down in the backfield. Look at that play by nose tackle Brian Webster. Webster, great penetration, and sticks Wade for a loss. Bring up 2nd and 11.
And that's a way to pump up that line around Webster. It's going to be number 71, Mike Ginyard, number 66, Yaboa Cabold, number 5, Josiah Perry, and number 77, James Burrell. Linebackers Bobby Davis, Darrell Johnson. Corners Ian Stead, Don Milligan, and the safeties Hamaday and Garvin Stewart.
2nd and 11. The rollout goes to the right side. Pass into the sideline is completed nicely to Coleman, and that quarterback for you folks, I apologize for not setting the offense for you, is sophomore quarterback Matt Verbit. Nice job rolling to his right, finding Coleman in the flat for a nice gain. It's going to bring up 3rd down at about 2. The other wideout we expect to see is number 23, Jackie Smith. Across the line for the Indians, look for Drew Ludwig, Ray Stefanak, Evan Carrain, Ed Johnson, and Tony Malone. At tight end, we expect Rob Keeler and Richie Bedesim to alternate. So 3rd down, the handoff goes to Wade. Oh, what a stick! Great tackle that time. Let me call the number for you. Looks like number 54 for Norristown, Greg DeLucia.
It was Greg DeLucia, and that time Norristown dropped DeLucia off the line of scrimmage that time like a linebacker, and DeLucia showed great linebacker skills down the line of scrimmage, found the hole the back was coming through, and just stuck him. Great linebacker play by Greg DeLucia.
Went for just enough, though, Walt. Gets the 1st down. It's going to be 1st and 10 now from the 25-yard line. But I tell you, that was a heck of a hit by Greg DeLucia. Verbit with the play action. He's got Doug White in pursuit. Good pass to the fullback, Eric Warg. He was nicely covered by Johnson, the linebacker, but a great pass that time by Verbit on the rollout. Good for 5 yards, brings up 2nd and a long 5, actually, from about the 30-yard line.
And credit Verbit. That was great play to hold on that ball long enough. Good penetration from the Eagles. Number 78, Doug White, anchoring that line today. And also Josiah Perry in there from his end position, rushing Verbit.
The handoff goes to Wade. Wade picks up a couple, but he is pushed backwards by Garvin Stewart and Greg DeLucia. The Eagles doing a great job up front here early on, Walt.
And they're keying off of Alex Wade. That time, Greg DeLucia from the linebacker spot got low on Wade. Garvin Stewart from that big hitting safety position came in, wrapped up Wade high, and they're going to need to gang tackle him. He's 225 pounds, and nobody off that Norristown line of scrimmage is over that weight.
7:26 here to play in the 1st quarter. 3rd down and a long 3. The pursuit results in a sack. Burrell back there with Webster, and I tell you what, Matt Verbit never had a chance to set up, Walt.
That's 3 plays in a row now. Norristown's gotten great penetration. They're just dominating that Council Rock offensive line so far, and they've now tucked them back in their own end to punt out from.
12-yard loss on the play brings up 4th down. Oh, the little flea flicker. No, they faked the flea flicker, then put the punt out. Boy, I tell you, that's an interesting play, and it takes a Council Rock bounce. Boy, you don't see that very often. Punter Chris Yates, number 17, sets up like he's going to go with a little flea flicker, but it was simply to draw the receivers up into coverage, and then he punts it over their heads.
And I'll tell you what it did do. It stopped the penetration to James Burrell. James Burrell was coming around that outside from his left position to rush the punter, and that just stopped him dead in his tracks when he saw Yates pick that ball up like he was going to throw it. So whether it was a play there that Yates just didn't see open, or whether it's something to keep Norristown thinking for later on in the game, it worked.
But I like that call. Works to the Indians' advantage, although the Eagles will retain possession, of course, 1st and 10 from their own 34-yard line. This time, Blake comes to the left side, to the outside, Zitzer, he's got him. Good move inside by Jim Zitzer. Zitzer picks up 15 yards with some nifty running after the catch.
Boy, and there's a guy Norristown hasn't used much. A lot of this year, since Norristown's been throwing the ball more, has been Paul Pranzati, but Jim Zitzer out into that flat, and a real nice work to catch that ball first. A lot of times you'll see a guy want to turn upfield on that ball that's sort of out to the sideline. Zitzer made sure the ball was in his hands, nice move, and then rolled over the top of another back for a couple more yards.
So the Eagles with 1st and 10 from midfield. Everybody in tight with Pranzati out to the left. The quick hit to Stewart up the middle. He's got running room. Garvin Stewart still going. 1st down to about the 37-yard line of Council Rock.
And that's been a play that Norristown has lived off of just to keep the defense off of their main tailback, who's about 5 yards deep in the backfield. That quick hitter has been successful for them for a number of years now. And that time, Garvin Stewart, who's an excellent runner, right up the middle, and a nice hole opened up by Brian Webster.
Well, Garvin Stewart does a great job when he touches the ball, Walt. I'll tell you, he really has a superb yards per carry average at almost 7 yards, and he increased that last run. There you go, Swittenberg to the outside, cuts it up inside, follows his blockers. It's going to be about 7 yards on that carry, and great blocking out front that time by Delusion. We'll see who else is on the bottom of that pile. Looks like Josiah Perry, the tight end down there, as well as Doug White and James Burrell.
Troy Swittenberg, such an interesting running style, sort of straight up as he gets through that line, picking and bouncing off at defenders, and he just sort of slips through straight up, as opposed to some other running backs we've seen who will get a little bit lower when they get through that hole. Swittenberg has his head up, likes to see where he's going.
Call it 6 yards on that play, brings up 2nd and 4 from the Council Rock 31-yard line. Scoreless here in the first quarter with 5:10 to play. This time the play action goes to the outside. Blake needs to get rid of it, but he's going to be sacked. Good pursuit that time off the end by Rob Keeler. Chris Blake eluded him once, but Keeler, tenacious, stays on the Eagle quarterback and drops him for a big loss. It's going to bring up 3rd and 12 for Norristown.
The Indians played that play very well. The main option for Chris Blake was Garvin Stewart, number 10, his fullback out of the backfield, and the Stewart jumped out there into the flat. The safety followed him right out. Blake looked at him once, but then had nowhere to go, and as he tried to look downfield, just too risky a throw. Had to pull it down and eat the yardage, but probably a smart play by Chris Blake.
So the Eagles now in what would certainly be considered a passing situation. They throw 3 backs. The pitch to Stewart. What a great play by Garvin Stewart, even to retain possession on that ball. That was certainly the design play, but Chris Blake was under immediate pressure, threw it behind Stewart. I don't know how he brought that ball in with one arm.
That's great hands, and Blake just sort of shot-putted it out there to him. Stewart not knowing which end of the ball he was going to get into his hand. Great play to reel that in, and especially since it was behind him, he's going upfield, and he has to reach back for it. The play, though, is designed as an option play for Blake to come off the line of scrimmage, and then as he gets out there, pitch it to his back. But the great penetration that time sort of killed the option.
Brings up 4th and 12 from the 40-yard line of Council Rock. They're coming. I'll tell you, there's a whistle on the play. The punt was off by Morano. There was all kinds of pressure that time by Council Rock. It was certainly coming for the block. For the play to be blown dead like that, the infraction certainly had to be before the play began. I wonder if it wasn't too many men. And that is the call against Council Rock. Too many men on the field. It was the back judge that made that call. You could see that he was stopping it from way downfield, which is an odd circumstance. Still going to bring up 4th down for Norristown and about 7 yards, a long 7 actually. We'll move the line of scrimmage to about the 35-yard line. I don't know that it'll change Roger Grove's decision here anyway. Now we wave off the flag. So that play is as if it never happened. It'll be 4th and 12 again. And the Eagles will punt again.
And now Council Rock has shown their hand a little bit. They were coming. Let's see if they set up for the return on this play. But it looks like they're going to put 8 guys on that line and come again.
They sure are. They come again. Morano gets it off. It's an end-over-end kick out of bounds. And that's going to be called out of bounds. We'll see where the officials walk it off.
Wow, that looked awful generous to me.
Oh, here he comes. He's still walking. I had him stopped at the 12, and he brings it all the way up to the 21. Now, that was odd. He walked it off, stopped, and then started again. I mean, you and I both thought that went out closer to the 20 than to the 12, but... yeah,
I think they brought him up a little bit. The judge who was underneath that ball on the sideline saw that it was well out of bounds, sort of off the side of Morano's foot. So Rock starts at 20.
This time they go to the far left side. The ball carrier is a new gentleman in there, Bill Cheffo, number 31. And Cheffo goes to the far side of the field. He is strung out nicely by the Eagle defenders. Really no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. We're scoreless here, folks. Just under 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. On a homecoming day afternoon, the Norristown Eagles and the Indians of Council Rock. Sophomore quarterback Matt Verbit has 3 receivers in the pattern. They go on a little misdirection play. The ball carrier that time is number 2, Chris Mahoney. Eagles did a good job staying home. It picked up about 5 that time, Walt. Bring up 3rd and 5.
And Norristown with that penetration, teeing off on the quarterback. Council Rock really needed that 5 yards to sort of keep Norristown honest and now put them in a situation where they could run or pass with probably equal success.
A little more traditional set here with the backs in the eye. Wade rolls out. Verbit over the middle with a screen. Way to stay home, Mike Ginyard. I'll tell you what, that time it was Joe Coleman, the wide receiver, on the screen play. And great job by Ginyard to drop him at the line of scrimmage and bring up 4th down.
And Council Rock thought they had Norristown set up there. That screen is designed for the opposing lineman to tee off on your quarterback, come right after him, and you dump it out there, and there's nobody there to tackle him. Mike Ginyard staying at home, as you said, Jeff. Beautiful play. Let the back catch the ball and then make the tackle.
Spiraling punt. Drives Paul Pronsati back to his own 31-yard line. He avoids the first tackler and, has his legs ripped out from under him by number 44, Eric Ward. Boy, what a hit. Pronsati having a tough time getting up, and he's going to have to be helped off the field. He really took a shot to the legs there. Don Milligan did a good job blocking off the first downfield defender. But Ward came out of nowhere to level Pronsati.
Yeah, when Pronsati got around that block by Milligan, that's where Ward was, and never saw him coming.
Well, the Eagles already early in this ball game with their 3rd offensive possession. About the same starting point for each drive. We're starting at the 36-yard line this time. Chris Blake, the quarterback. They go to Swittenberg off the left side. Breaks 1 tackle, 2 tackles, but he is driven backwards. That time the tacklers, number 23, Jack Smith.
And Jeff, this is one of the hardest hitting defenses we've seen all year. This Council Rock defense is good size, but boy, when they get a clean sight, they tee off.
They certainly run right through the ball carrier. I mean, there's a ferocity about it. They really are looking to put a hard hit on every time. This time we have Milligan to the far side with Zitzer to the near side. Chris Blake, the straight drop. He's in trouble. He dumps it off somehow to Garvin Stewart, and Stewart's in just as much trouble. Smith there again, assisted by linebacker Richie Bettison. And although Chris Blake avoided the sack, Garvin Stewart, driven for a 5-yard loss on that dump-off, is going to bring up 3rd and 15 from the Eagle 31.
And Norristown that time just let Rob Keeler come right in on Blake. But Keeler was in a little faster than expected, and Blake had to sort of shift his body at an awkward angle to dump that ball to Stewart. And turns out there are 2 white shirts waiting for Garvin Stewart as well.
Boy, it's almost like the Indians are in the Eagles' playbook. They have done a superb job of defending the Eagles so far in this ball game.
And Jeff, what I called for at the beginning of the game is Norristown mixing it up a little bit. So far, Council Rock has been all over that. You certainly can't fault the play calling of the Eagles. They've been trying to mix it up, but Council Rock, as you said, has been in the playbook, especially on the passing plays.
And that's the end of the first quarter, folks. A lightning quick first quarter with a lot of running plays early on. Really not too much of an air game by either team so far. So after 12 minutes of play, we have a scoreless tie here. The Eagles will be faced with a 3rd and 15 from their own 31-yard line.